Hey there, welcome to another episode of Brave, Bold, and Unfiltered. And I have my number one unfiltered partner here. Sean's with me today.
Oh, wow.
How's it going?
Doing pretty good.
So, I don't think that anyone who's been listening to or watching our podcast will be surprised if we talk about courage.
Probably not.
But I also feel like we can't talk about it enough.
Yeah.
Because I feel like fear truly is the number one thing holding people back, keeping them down, right? I mean, it's how businesses never get started, dreams never fulfilled. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And just how about everyday life? Life is scary.
Yeah.
I mean, you're facing right now a health situation that's been going on since April.
Yeah, 4.5 months now.
4.5 months now. And there have been some scary parts to it. But even just having the courage to have a good attitude when you don't know what today's going to be like as far as pain.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't know when this is going to clear. It's easy to get down.
Yeah.
And it takes really a lot of courage to say, I'm not going to be that person.
Yep. And I have my moments, of course. Scream,
Yeah.
face into a pillow, screaming at the top of your lungs so no one hears you.
But then you have a 24-hour rule that you follow, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or you're allowed to feel sorry for yourself. And this is not in perpetuity. This is not, fixing the pillow behind my back there. It's not meant to be like you have the same recurring issue and every so often. Like I get 24 hours on Monday and I get 24 hours. No, it's
That's true.
You haven't, and obviously
back-to-back?
the 24-hour rule isn't, for anyone listening to this who thinks that I could be being insensitive, I'm not talking about like your child dies. You get 24 hours to feel sorry for yourself and it's talking about regular daily life issues, struggles, whatever. You can take a day to be pissed off, to feel sorry for yourself, whatever, and then it's time to do something about it. What's the next step? How do I move forward? How do I, you can't just sit and dwell on it or it won't go anywhere.
Yeah. But I don't think people think about that being attitude. But I think it takes courage to have the right attitude.
Yeah.
To pull ourselves out of it, to have a good attitude when other people aren't. Because isn't it so easy to get stuck in the mob mentality? If other people are being negative, it's pretty easy to join them.
Yeah, I consider myself generally a pretty positive person. But I will say, if somebody from work calls me or whatever and says, "Did you hear what so-and-so did?" I'll find myself immediately engaging in a 45-minute conversation, talking about, yeah, and he does this and he does. It's very easy to get caught up in the negativity cloud.
And that doesn't help a darn thing.
Because you never walk away from one of those conversations saying, I feel really like good and rested and my mind feels really right. You almost feel like emotionally drained.
Well, even if you feel validated because you did talk about this person and the person was wrong, let's say, but then it wasn't that big a deal. But as soon as the other people start piling on, now the next time you see the person, they do one little minor thing, it irritates you far more than it would have.
Yep.
So I feel like, we have to have courage in the tough times in life and the everyday life, right? Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I talk about and I put in Burn the Map was having courage muscles. I kind of think about it like, okay, so you've had back problems too. Sorry about that. I might have something to do with it. But I remember when I had some really bad lower back problems and I was going to a physical therapist. And so she said, well, so you have atrophy in these lower muscles. So we need to kind of get those muscles going. So she takes her finger and she puts it on this one little tiny spot on my back next to my spine. She goes, okay, now engage that muscle. I'm like, I don't even know where the muscle, what? My brain had no connection to the muscle. That was probably the hardest thing I ever did in physical therapy. It was literally trying to flex a tiny little, because it had atrophied and my brain wasn't connecting to the muscle. And I kind of feel like that's the way it is with courage, is that we have to flex our muscles. We have to build them up. We have to know how to use them, because otherwise when the tough time comes, when the really big thing hits, you're not going to know what to do. You're going to be completely taken out, like by the tidal wave, right?
Yep.
So I feel like this is why I give the advice that try to be courageous in everyday life. Any opportunity you have to be courageous, even if it has nothing to do with anything. Like, for instance, so, when I told you when I was in Key West one time with Rich and Rod and Lynn, and
Snake.
yeah, so this guy is and I hate snakes. People have to understand that I actually talk in this book about, I used to rattlesnake hunt with my biological father back when I was a kid, and I have no idea how I did that, Sean, because any snakes give me the will. I don't even want to see them at the
Also,
zoo.
snakes are poisonous and scary.
Well, I don't even want to see any snake.
No.
I want to see them in the zoo.
If you're one of those people that has a snake in your house, I'm not coming over.
What is wrong with you? Sorry, but no, they creep me out. There's nothing redeeming for me with snakes. So what caused me to do this was literally a decision. So here's this guy on the street, and he's got this boa constrictor around his neck. And for $5, you could get your picture taken with this boa around your neck. Now he stands there with you. So I thought, well, there's only a 50% chance he'll squeeze the life out of me, right? And then Rod, Lynn, and Rich were like, never even considered it, wanted nothing to do with it. I just thought, well, it'd be a really cool photo, number one. Number two, I'm going to do it because it scares the hell out of me. And so there's that picture of me, and I've got like a cowboy hat on, I'm smiling, and all this. And what you can't see because it's a photo is me going, hurry up, take the picture, hurry, 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 hurry. Like, it scared the hell out of me, Sean.
Of course, yeah.
So the picture looks like I'm just smiling away there. So I don't know if you knew this, but the last night when the Germans were here in April, right before your medical crisis, on that last night, I was telling Amelia and Lenny about this boa story. I don't remember why.
Mm-hmm.
Mona listens and listens, right? Then she whips out her phone. She's got a boa around her neck, only there's no handler. Mm-hmm. She's sitting in a chair. There's no one around. You can see the whole room and everything. No one around. And she's sitting there with this boa around her neck, sitting in a chair. And you can see now it has started to wrap its bottom part around her leg. She goes, that's when I was done. I'm out. So she kind of one-upped me on it. But the point is that why did we do that? Because it scared us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if people could think about just trying some things that scare you. I'm not saying to go, like jump into a den of lions or be foolish, jump out of an airplane without a parachute. I'm saying, I don't know. I keep thinking one day I might actually jump out of an airplane because I'm terrified of heights.
Well, and I have a thought on that. I know when talking about courage, because I thought about this, and I always think about when I'm making a point like this, what would someone's counterpoint be? What would their argument be? And I was thinking about it.
Oh, good point.
Their counter argument would be, one, have opportunities to be courageous. Like, they don't just pop up randomly throughout the day. So I have a thought on that. If that's how you feel, okay. But on the flip side of that, we tend to try to make every single aspect of our day as easy as possible every single day.
Yes.
Stop doing that.
Avoid adversity, right? That's what we do.
Exactly. So maybe you're not being courageous in the sense of what you envision courage to be, but it's something as simple as, like Joe Rogan, I always tell you, he talks about the first thing he does when he wakes up is an extremely hard heart beating workout, and then he gets in the cold plunge and his sauna at 230 degrees.
Wow.
And he says the reason why is the first hour of his day is so hard. There's so much adversity in that first hour. The rest of his day just seems so easy by comparison. So look for opportunities when there is something challenging you don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
That
it could be a conversation.
It could be.
It doesn't have to be a snake around your neck.
It could be, today I really don't want to work out. That's the most important day to do it. I really don't want to deal with this person, this thing. That's the time that it's most important to do it. Those are moments of you're training those muscles to handle things that you don't want to handle, which ultimately makes it easier to be courageous in moments because you haven't just spent the whole time making everything. Your house isn't just made of memory foam now.
Yeah, good.
You have to walk on some rigid surfaces.
Okay, so you and I have not talked about this before, I don't think. So I make this bold statement often that courage is more important than anything else. And what I want to do is go into what you said about the flip side, because I always think I picture people on the other end of the phone or whatever going, more important than God, more important than oxygen. So then I think, well, okay, so maybe it's not as important as God, but it's right up there with oxygen. And the reason is because courage is required for anything, including faith. So what would those other contrarians say to my comment? Even though I acknowledge, okay, God and oxygen, what's more important than courage? Because I think I might be able to refute it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that a lot of people would probably argue in the literal sense.
Like family's more important.
Yeah, family's more important, or
But doesn't it take
Well, you
courage to
need-
have good
you need
relationships?
food and water. I think people would take it to that degree. You're not literally saying that courage is more important than breathing in oxygen to continue living. Like,
Right.
obviously, if you don't take another breath, you die.
Yeah, then we won't need courage anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, it's more of you're talking about the ethereal concept of courage being important in every aspect of your life.
Well, yeah, because think about it. Let's say that you are in sales and you need to go meet with a client and they say something and then you just run scared. When you could have said something that is helpful to them that they didn't understand about the product, but you were
Actually-
scared.
I have a story for that. There was the first guy who was ever like my mentor, a guy named Jared Clavino. He was listening to one of my sales calls. I asked him to. And on it, he walks up to me afterwards and he goes, immediately I can tell you what you did wrong. And the guy asked you, how much does this cost? Because he had advised me, give direct answers. Don't do the salesperson thing. Well, it really depends. Give a direct answer. What are you looking to buy? This, and this. How much? Okay, here's the price. When I gave him the price, I went, I remember it's $250,000. He goes, who on earth is going to buy something from someone when they say it like they know it's overpriced? You need to say it with confidence,
Yeah.
with heart. And that was actually one of the hardest things for me when I first got into sales was I was terrified of having those money conversations with people.
Yes.
So he advised me, you need to start leaning into that heavily. So now someone will ask me, it's $1 million. But I was terrified to do that originally.
Yeah.
And I trained that muscle. I continued to have those uncomfortable conversations. Someone would say, well, that's more than I want to spend. And I'd say, well, you're buying a Bentley, not a Honda.
Yeah. No,
So-
you also mentioned something too. You said the word confidence. And I think that people sometimes get confused where they think, well, I just need more confidence. And you do. But it takes courage to get yourself to the confidence point.
Mm-hmm.
What you didn't do was go figure out how to be confident. You had to push through the fear that someone was going to say, 250 what? Right? You have to push through it. And I think, and then there are more naturally courageous people. I mean, come on, of course. But then we talk about this word fearless. That word gets thrown around. I don't use that word because I think it's ridiculous. There's no such thing as being a fearless person. Now, are there situations where you're fearless? Sure. Right? I feel like so Johnny, and he's in this book too, your really good friend Johnny, being terrified of heights and being a helicopter pilot really cracks me up. And now he's a commercial pilot.
And jump school certified.
But when he had to, I think this is actually in this chapter of the book that he signed up. No, I think maybe in this chapter of the book, I talked about SEER school. So, SEER school is that survival, evasion, rescue. What do they call it? Survival, evasion, rescue.
It's like survive, evade, reconnaissance, and I can't remember what the last one is, but it's SERE.
It's really called, who the heck wants to do that?
It's called beat and torture you for 3 weeks.
So that you can, the details of it are highly top secret in the U.S. military.
The whole point of it is to show everyone that you will all break, you will all give up information that you're not supposed to.
You go behind enemy
But
lines, you're captured, right?
They put them through horrible, traumatizing things to build that courage muscle, to show them this is a very real possibility. This could happen to you. This is what you could experience.
Right. Now so because he was a helicopter pilot, he didn't have to go to it. He didn't have to do it. Everyone doesn't have to do it, right?
No, it's for special assignments and everyone in special forces has.
Now I know that being a helicopter pilot, the chances of being captured behind enemy lines is higher than a lot of other.
It's one of the most dangerous jobs. Shot down at a really high rate.
Right. But but what I was really thinking about is the first time we do anything, it's scary. Like you just said, the first time you had to say 250, now you're like, yeah, it's $1 million, whatever. But I know that the first time Johnny went to jump out of the airplane, and I'm sure we talked about this in another episode, but the first time he had to jump out of an airplane, and by the way, he didn't have to. He told me, no, he volunteered for airborne school. So
he also volunteered to go to Afghanistan. So
right, so he has to jump out of an airplane, and these guys are all acting tough. Like he calls them professional badasses, right? These guys are like special forces guys and Navy SEALs and stuff like that. And Johnny goes, there's my skinny little ass, because he's 150 pounds soaking wet, and so
He's
The
probably 155, and he'd really care about that 5 pounds.
But the thing about it is that he was terrified, and then he had to do it. And now you've mentioned on other episodes that he is routinely jumped out of airplanes since then, kind of like it was no big deal. So my point was going to be that he is not a fearless person. If he were sitting here right now, he would tell us there are plenty of things that scare him, including heights still.
Mhm.
But he is somewhat fearless, maybe almost fearless when he jumps out of airplanes because he's done it so many times and lived it. Tell about it.
Fearless is a myth. It's just you train. It's like you were talking about the training of the muscle. You think about who we consider to be the most courageous people in the world, right? That would be special forces, military people,
Right.
CIA operatives, special forces, Navy SEALs,
People that go undercover,
Green Berets,
Yeah.
Horse Recon Marines. These people who go straight into a guaranteed combat
right?
zone with terrorists and whatever. Those people weren't just plucked out of high school because they're so badass and sent there. They went to basic training, and then they went to underwater demolitions, and then they went to airborne school, and then they went to SEER school, and then they went to Navy SEAL BUDS training program, or the Green Beret training programs. They trained and trained and trained for years to be prepared to be courageous.
How about to fear less, to be less scared? Because I don't think, because it's kind of like, I'm thinking about this too, about the other day about speaking. So the first time I ever spoke in front of a room, it was in high school when you had to do that. We had called it oral communications. You guys probably had a similar class. And I knew every kid in the class, right?
Every history class you had to present in front of your
Oh,
class.
I remember I wanted to throw up the first time I had to do it. Of course, I chose spina bifida as my, which is not exactly like a topic that high schoolers want to hear about, but I thought I was going to throw up. Then the first time I spoke at a business meeting, I thought I had that same fear, like this is going to take me out. So I went around the room and I shook hands with every person there. I met everyone. So then when I looked out, it was like, oh, these are all people that I know, even if I knew them for 14 seconds. But at least I did something, but I was still scared. Then the first time I spoke in front of a room of hundreds of people, I was scared. And then afterwards I felt okay. But I will tell you, and I've produced events and spoken at them. But I will tell you one thing, I do feel still, even though I love doing it and I'm confident about it, I would honestly tell you that before I step on a stage, I do feel a little nervous, which I think is okay. I mean,
yeah, I do too. I get nervous. I'm good at public speaking as well.
But you get that little kind of like little apprehension.
Then when you first start talking, you find your voice a tiny bit hard to get. You're almost out of breath.
Like nobody else can knows it.
Because your adrenaline is going.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. You just do it anyways.
Yeah, exactly. You do it anyway because once you get over that, and so I think that's the really in this chapter when I called Unleash the Warrior, that's what I'm talking about. Is just you just said it. Do it anyway, because Johnny does it scared, and I go speak scared, and we sometimes have you have a situation in your life that you need to have a conversation, or you may have a conversation with someone that's not an easy conversation, but you're going to do it anyway, right? So this isn't always just about having snakes around our neck or
I sure hope not.
or anything, right? I mean, well, and that's a good point too. You know those guys you were talking about, those guys that will jump into those danger zones without thinking twice, and then they're scared of something else, like really maybe a spider. I mean, there are really tough guys out there that are scared of silly little things, right? I think that another thing too, Sean, and I think you can relate to this too, because you've been a young person, and all young people go through this, but so do adults. And that is being who you are. And that takes courage too, to just get comfortable with who you are. So when I was growing up and I didn't have a lot of emotional support at home, I had a very young mother, single mother, and, you were kind of my mom always says, you guys raised yourselves. And then I go, well, you're welcome. We did a pretty good job. But I was a redhead, orange-haired kid. And in my second grade class, there was another redheaded boy. Other than that, there was redheads just were very, very.
Your older brother.
Yeah. I try to forget about him though, because he wasn't nice to me. But that's another story. No, but yeah, other than my brother and my nan, I didn't know any redheads. So when you're a little kid, this is the thing that one of the main reasons too that I created this brand called Love-A-Doos, that it's the first time I'm mentioning it, because I don't want girls to feel like that anymore. We're starting with girls. I want girls to feel like that. You should be celebrating the fact that there's one person on the entire planet in history or in the future, like exactly like you. I mean, we should all feel special, but what do we want to do? We want to be like other people, right?
Yeah.
And we didn't have social media, so I can only imagine what it's like now. But just being that redheaded kid, and then my name is Valerie. All my friends are named Julie, Kathy, normal names. So I have this name. I didn't know a single person all throughout my high school. There was no other Valeries. Valerie, redhead, and I'm left-handed. It's like, really? you know? And then I got into high school and my hair was the thing that everyone talked about. I had the coolest hair. But all through those years, I hated being different. I wanted to be like other people.
Yeah.
Do you remember feeling like that? I
Yeah.
think most kids do.
I'm sure at times. I'm sure I did at times. Yeah.
You try to fit in some way.
Well, I mean, even just like playing football and all that stuff. I didn't actually really like football that much. I was much better at defense, and my coach wouldn't let me play defense. He forced me to play offensive tackle. I hated it. I didn't want to do it, but it felt like it was my duty to do so as the big guy. So I stayed on the team, even though I gave 50% effort for 4 years. It's amazing that I was even any good because I didn't really try. What I really wanted to do was I loved basketball, and I loved singing, and I loved acting and movies. What I really should have done was probably done the theater route, but
wasn't cool.
It wasn't cool, and I was too afraid of all the.
You know what's so weird about that? I was just thinking, how weird is it that going into theater and stuff is not cool, but everyone thinks actors are cool?
Yeah, it is.
It doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah, the choir and theater kids were definitely dorks in the.
Right, and I've learned that kind of dorks win,
Mm-hmm.
right, in life. I'm going to do a quick cut to a little clip from April. So April was in town about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I interviewed her. I'm gonna put that in as a whole episode coming up in the fall. But I kind of wanted to just have a little clip here of a conversation I had with her, talking about how she wanted. This is completely different, but on the same topic. She wanted to be. She didn't want to stand out for a different reason. Like I didn't want to be the redhead. When she had cancer, she didn't want to stand out, with the scarf on or whatever. She didn't want to be the person that people felt sorry for. So let's hear what she had to say about that. But then you met somebody, I think it was the dog farmers, right? Tell me about that.
Feel bad. She's such a good friend now too. And it was the first time I met her. I was actually going to watch her dog. So she came to our house so our dogs could meet. And she's like, I love your haircut. And it was the wig. I mean, I was completely bought at the time. And I just was like, thanks. It's courtesy of chemo. And it just spit it out. And I could tell she might have been a little uncomfortable, but it worked. And
I'm glad you said that.
It was like the first time I felt like I could just say what it was. And
Yeah.
I mean, I had friends after that were like, I can't believe you did that to that poor woman. I'm like, there's people that let you in a little bit without saying anything. They're being, she made me feel comfortable enough to be me and tell the truth.
I'm so glad though. So I think it's cool, really cool, that April's not trying to go back and be the person that she was before cancer.
Mm-hmm.
She's going like, this is who I am. This is it. And I think maybe I learned a lot about that too. I was never the kind of person that really worried that much about what people thought of me. But when Jamie entered her addiction, I had that shame and embarrassment over it. And I wonder what people would think of me as a mom. But I just got over that and said, you know what? I know how I was as a mom. I wasn't perfect, but I was a good mom. So I refuse that. And I think people have to have the courage to do that, to refuse to allow society to decide how you're supposed to be, whether you're good, whether you're not. And I think we're really struggling with that as a society right now.
Yeah, I think anytime, to use an analogy a little bit, any activity that's moving forward, flying a plane, driving a car, a foot race in the Olympics, whatever, there's a reason why you face forward and you look at what's in front of you and you don't turn and look over your shoulder because you'll fall or you'll crash. You're supposed to be looking at what's in front of you. It doesn't mean you don't remember what's behind you.
Right.
But spending all of your time focused looking over somebody else's fence into their yard instead of mowing your own lawn just creates a whole other bundle of issues for you.
Yep. That is such a good point. You're right. You got to stay focused. It always reminds me too of when Peter walked on water toward Jesus. And when he started looking at the waves and stuff, like you said, he started looking, as long as he was focused there, He was good to go. He was walking on the water. And then as soon as he started looking around at the storm and the danger and all the stuff, he started to sink. But I think that's what we do, whatever it is. We don't, your good point. We don't look forward. We spend a lot of time in the past, that person that offended us, or like you said, looking over at other people.
Or even
Comparing.
mistakes you've made, dwelling on it. You've asked for forgiveness.
Really good point.
You've chosen to forgive yourself, and then you continue to beat yourself up over it.
So you really didn't forgive yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got to use that F word over and over. So I end this book telling a story, and I know that we don't have some kind of a lineage that's, royalty or anything like that, but your great grandpa Harold's two sisters were not just a hoot, but they were generous and non-judgmental, and everyone was welcome at their house, and they were really, really great people. But I thought what was really interesting is my mom. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Oh, that's right. I forgot about this part of it. So I said in here that some families are born with the kind of, resolve in your bones where you don't quit. And so I said, I really feel like, gee, I guess I was destined to have to be a courageous person because, the meaning of Armstrong. So our family name on my mom's side is Armstrong.
Mm-hmm.
And the crest is even this dorky arm, but it's Scottish, of course, and it means strong arm. But you know what the family motto is? I remain unvanquished, which means undefeated. I remain undefeated.
I
So
used to have that tattooed on my arm until I covered it.
Oh,
Yet for Miss Invictus name.
right. So that's the thing. It's like courage is in our bones, right? But then my first name is Valerie. Do you know what Valerie means? Strong, fierce, and brave. Like, why couldn't my mom have named me something like she'll be taken care of for the rest of her life? That's what I feel like. So anyway,
Wealthy, easy street.
exactly. Why'd she give me that name along with having Armstrong in there? But I mean, I don't consider myself a quitter, but I don't know if you know this about me, Sean. And I'm not into horoscopes really at all. But if you look up an Aries, yeah, you're looking at her. And so we're the first sign of the zodiac, and we're the ones that want to forge ahead and start things. We're not that interested in finishing them.
Mm.
And you wouldn't think that about me because I'm very tenacious and I keep going and I care about doing a good job. But I would much rather move on when something's boring or move on to the next exciting thing. So my mom doesn't really know that about me. I don't talk to her about that kind of stuff. And certainly my great aunts would have never known that. So one day I was over at grandma's house and it was really funny. I was thinking the other day, I don't think my mom has ever told me about a dream that she's had ever. Either she doesn't remember them, she doesn't find them significant. She never has ever told me about a dream. She was so intent on telling me about this dream. So it must have been different than anything she's had. And she had written it down on a card here. And it was a dream, and Aunt Lottie was in the dream. And she said this. And it was, Grandma held onto it like it was a little fragile bird or something when she handed it to me, like it was sacred, like it was some family lineage thing. She said, tell Val she can get through this. She's an Armstrong, and Armstrongs never quit. And I think that's really the point. And I don't know about you, but I'd rather go down fighting than throwing the towel.
Mm-hmm.
And I think too many people are throwing in the towel.
Yep.
In some aspect of their life.
Yep.
That's easy.
Yeah. It's easy to quit, but
Armstrongs don't quit.
Doing what's right doesn't always align with what's easy. So
that's the exact point right there. So we can't quit because we got this stupid Armstrong name. Thanks a lot.
Plus like mortgages and
there's that kind of stuff too. Okay, well that's important. But you know what? No matter what your name is, you can't quit either. You stand up, you fight, you face what's going on in your life, you figure out how to come out the other end different, and not just different, better. I think that's the point. You are a warrior. So stop being a quitter. Stop quitting on your life. Stand up and fight. I'll see you next week. But let me tell you what, this one's called Ignite the Spark. It's going to be very inspiring. Have an awesome week.